guys, how are you all doing? So, we have finished with our algebra series of IGCSE, and today we are going to start a new lecture series, and the chapter name is Lines, Angles, and Shapes. So, it's the first lecture, and we're going to start with the basics of the chapter. So, as you can see, I have a new interface today as I have purchased a new app called GoodNotes 5 on the iPad Air. So, yeah, please let me know in the comments how you feel about this app and what changes can I make to make it look better. So, yeah, without wasting much time, let's continue with the basics of lines, angles, and shapes. So, first of all, we need to understand some terms here that what are acute angles, right angles, obtuse angles, reflex angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. So, let's have a look at them one by one. Starting with acute angles. Acute angles are the angles which measure less than 90 degrees. So let's say, or even I can draw it. Say I have this line and this line. So the angle, let's say angle A. Angle A is an acute angle. Why? Because its value is less than 90 degree. What is an angle basically is that how much you need to rotate in a particular direction to reach the other point. Okay? Let's have a look at right angles. Right angles are the angles that have a value exactly equal to 90 degrees. So same illustration let me take here. Let's say if I have a line like this and I draw a perpendicular. So this angle, let's say angle B, it's exactly 90 degree and it will be called as a right angle. Moving on to obtuse angle. Obtuse angles are the angles which have an angle greater than 90 degree, but there is a condition that they should have an angle less than 180 degree. So how will we draw it? Let me show you. Let me move this a bit down here. Let me move it a bit down. This G is here. So let's draw an obtuse angle. Let's say I have a line like this and another line like this. Okay, so if we just draw with some dotted lines, or let's say complete lines, this whole angle is 180 degrees, right? This angle, let's say this whole angle is 90 degree, it's right angle. And if we have a look at this angle, if we have a look at this angle, let's say it's angle C. So as you can clearly see that angle C is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Such angles are known as obtuse angles. Moving on to reflex angles. These are the angles which measure greater than 180 degrees but they are less than 360 degrees. What this really means is, let's see here one by one. Let me move this a bit down once again. So suppose if you have angle like, let's say if you have a line like this and if you have a line like this. So what I mean to say is that this complete one rotation will measure 360 degrees. Okay, so you end at the point from where you began. But if I just measure till here, let's say it's angle D. So as you can clearly see, angle D has crossed the limit of 180 degrees, but it's still less than 360 degrees. Such angles are known as reflex angles. If I ask you about this angle, can you tell me? Let's say it's angle E. What is this angle? This angle will obviously be an acute angle. Why? Because here's the 90-degree line, and you can clearly see that angle E is less than 90 degree. So what are these angle calls? This angle is acute angle. Okay, so let's have a look at some terms here. What are supplementary angles? Supplementary angles, or first in the list is complementary angles, so let's understand that first. Complementary angles are the angles which sum up to 90 degrees. So we can write here that angles that sum up to 90 degrees. For example, if we have 60 degree and 30 degree, these two angles sum up to 90 degrees. So these both are complement angles to each other. Now let's have a look at supplementary angles. What are those? Now let me take a next page here so that we can understand this well. So supplementary angles. So supplementary angles are the angles which sum. So we can write angles which sum up to 180 degrees. Complementary angles sum up to 90 degrees and supplementary angles sum up to 180 degrees. For example, if we have supplementary angles, let's say 150 degree plus and 30 degree. The sum of these two angles is 180 degree. So they are supplement angles to each other. Can you tell me what type of angle is this? 150 degree. Of course, greater than 90 but less than 180. So it's an obtuse angle. And 30 degree is less than 90 degrees, so it's of course an acute angle. So it's an acute angle. Moving on to the next topic or points, we have some important points here. So please note it down that the sum of angles around a point is 360 degrees. So that's very obvious. For the sake of explanation, let me draw some lines here. So let's take, if I have this line, this, this one here, I'm sorry, one line here, and one here. Okay, so let's just mark these angles. Let's say I have angle A, this angle is B, C, D, E, and finally angle F. So the sum of all these angles will be 360 degree. Why? Because you're rotating a full circle starting from that line and coming back to that point only. So you just completed a full circle of 360 degrees and the angles must sum up to that number. So we can write that angle A plus angle B plus angle C plus angle D plus angle E plus angle F equals 360 degrees. You can have as many angles as possible. There is no objection in that. I showed this example just for the sake of explanation and simplicity. Okay guys, Moving on to the next property. Next property states that if you have two intersecting lines, let's say if I have a line like this and another line like this, let me mark this as angle A and this whole as angle B. Now, what the other property says that when two lines intersect, the two pairs of vertically opposite angles are formed. We can clearly see that one angle is this, opposite to angle A is this angle, we don't know what its value is, and opposite to B is this angle. So the rule states that vertically opposite angles are equal whenever lines intersect, which means this angle will also be equal to angle A. Why? Because it's vertically opposite to angle A, and this angle will also be equal to angle B because it's vertically opposite to the same. Okay, so it's a good property, guys. You need to remember this. It can be asked, and it is asked in many of the IGCSE past papers, as simple as this example. So make sure you don't mess it up. Okay, so let's look at some properties of parallel lines too. Okay, let me draw some parallel lines here. Say we have a line like this and a line like this, and if these parallel lines are cut by a transversal, okay, I cut this by a transversal. Now let's say I have this angle as angle X. So what this property states is that whenever two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, the alternate angles are equal, which means if this angle is X, this angle will also be equal to X, and the transversal angle is also equal, which means if this angle is X, this angle will also be X. You can also see the relation between these two angles right here, is that they are vertically opposite angles, and vertically opposite angles, as we studied in the previous slide, are also equal. So no objections in that. There's one more important property, very important, you need to keep that in mind, that let's say I have this angle as angle Y. This angle will be, of course, angle Y, and the property states that the co-interior angles, what are co-interior angles now in this? Co-interior angles are angles X and Y. Angles X and Y, these are co-interior angles. So the property states that the sum of co-interior angles will be equal to 180 degrees. Remember this rule, guys, very important once again. So this states that X plus Y equals 180 degrees. Please remember this rule, guys. It can be asked in multiple ways, and make sure you don't get stuck in these types of questions. These types of questions are very simple, and they can get confusing sometimes, but make sure you analyze the angles properly and don't be in a hurry. Mark the individual angles in the exam so you get all the questions right. Okay, so we can mark one more angle here, that if this angle is Y, this angle will also be equal to Y. Why? Because this Y and the other Y, this one, these are alternate angles, so they're also equal. Okay, so in this lecture we have covered pretty much the basics of lines, angles and shapes. Make sure you remember the rules, remember the figures, most importantly. You can note them down somewhere. Make notes of your own. Please make notes while watching the lecture, otherwise there's no benefit of watching the lecture just sitting on a couch relaxing and let's watch some lines, angles and shapes. There's no benefit of that. Please make notes. So we can also write here the previous property as we studied, that the angles around a point sum to 360 degree, that a plus b equals 360. So 2 times a plus b equals 360. Just for the sake of explanation I'm telling you, else it's pretty simple that a plus b will of course sum to 180 degrees as lie on the same line. Okay, so yeah, let's end this lecture, guys. Please do write in the comments how you like the new interface, the new app that I purchased, GoodNotes. And yeah, if you have any doubt, you want to study any topic, have some mentorship sessions, I can guide you how to solve physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics past paper, how to write points in exams so that you get the pretty A stars on your scorecard. Okay, so yeah, pretty much it for the lecture. Let's end this right here. Bye bye. Take care.